economic despair, political uncertainty, and a long list of other troubles. That the people of Pakistan are fed up of the mounting misery in the country is well known. What is also well known and hard to miss is the sharp contrast between the stories of India and Pakistan. You see, India's is a story of progress, growth, while Pakistan's is a story of misery, debt, economic trouble, and instability. Remarks made by a prominent Pakistani-American businessman have been dominating headlines. His name is Sajid Tarar. You know what he said? He hopes that Pakistan gets a leader like Prime Minister Modi. He has heaped praise on Prime Minister Modi, saying he is not only good for India, but for the region and the world. He was speaking to news agency PTI. As per the report, he called Prime Minister Narendra Modi a remarkable leader who has taken India to new heights. Who is Sajid Tarar? The Pakistani-American businessman moved to the US in the 1990s. He is well connected with the ruling Pakistani establishment. He is the founder of American Muslims for Trump. He was the advisor for Muslims to the former President Trump. Remember, on Monday, we told you all about the protests in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. People have been calling for freedom. POK has been on the boil. We told you all about the anger on the ground, how the protesters are fed up, and how reports talk about posters coming up across POK demanding that POK be allowed to join India. Yes, demanding that POK be allowed to join India. One POK activist, in fact, even called for intervention by the Indian government. Sajid Tarar has now questioned the decision of the Pakistani Prime Minister to give financial aid to the people of POK. He asked, where is the money going to come from? According to him, there is no effort to resolve the grassroots issues. How to increase exports, how to bring terrorism under control and improve law and order. He also said the rise of India in 2024 is amazing and that it's a story to be told. He added, you will see it in the future that people will learn from Indian democracy, quote unquote. The thing is, the contrast between the stories of India and Pakistan is obvious. India is on the verge of becoming the third largest economy in the world with a GDP of $5 trillion in the next 3 years. Meanwhile, Pakistan is facing a severe economic crisis. It's facing a chronic balance of payments crisis. Inflation is high. Petrol prices have been high. The skyrocketing inflation making basic needs like food unaffordable. So yes, Pakistan is in dire straits. We told you earlier about Pakistanis going missing after landing in another country. Perhaps they were trying to escape the misery back home. Pakistan's own Prime Minister has talked about how embarrassing it is to go around with a begging bowl. The people of Pakistan are desperate. Sajid Tarar wishes that they get some leadership that can take them to the next level away from all these issues. For now, that looks impossible. While the people on the ground suffer, there is a lot that they hope would change. There is growing resentment on the ground. The country is in a mess of its own making and is struggling to find a way out. For now, there seems to be no light at the end of this tunnel. And speaking of India's growth story, a techie from Kulgam district of Jammu and Kashmir has entered NASA's Hall of Fame after he identified data breach vulnerabilities in their system. Our next report telling you more.
Hailing from Zungalpora village in South Kashmir's Kulgam, Munib reported his findings under NASA's Vulnerability Disclosure Program, which facilitates the US agency's awareness of otherwise unknown vulnerabilities. As Munib is bound by the VDP guidelines, he cannot disclose the specifics of the external vulnerabilities in the NASA system, although he says it did involve sensitive data exposure.
I was included in the Hall of Fame by Apple in 2023. They had given me permission to ethically hack their systems, to check the vulnerabilities and report it to them, and they validated it later and acknowledged it and later added my name into the Hall of Fame. Recently I had done the same for NASA, and I found some vulnerabilities and I reported it. In the same way, it was acknowledged by NASA and they later included me in the Hall of Fame. I am extremely happy, and I am very happy to help the security organizations to help them secure their data.
In the last few years, Munib has been working tirelessly and has identified vulnerabilities in multiple organizations, earning him prizes worth millions as well as mentions in the Hall of Fame. He has been ethically hacked and secured many international organizations like Oracle, McDonald's, Intel, USAA, Indeed, and many others.
Many organizations across the world improve their security and call ethical hackers from around to help them secure their data. They do have their own cybersecurity teams, but despite that, to make it foolproof, they want hackers to check these programs, and that's why we are invited. And we check and we report it. Organizations should do it always, even if they don't pay, and just acknowledge. It'll help them secure their data.
Munib is currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in computer applications from IGNOU, which he started after dropping out of his BTech degree from one of the private engineering colleges in Kashmir.
The portals connecting New York and Dublin have been shut down. The decision is temporary for the time being. Well, that didn't take very long, did it? The sculptures were open to public on the 8th of May, and barely 7 days on, they have been shut down. Why, you ask? Well, due to public nuisance, vulgar and offensive behavior. You may already know the portals I'm talking about. The videos have been all over social media, but let me explain this for those who might not be aware. The two sculptures called the portals are round, lens-like installations. One is in New York's Flatiron South Public Plaza, another in Dublin's O'Connell Street. The portals offer 24/7 video link. The visitors in the two cities can interact with each other through the portals. However, there is no sound. Portals.org, the group behind the project, has touted it as a bridge to a united planet. Well, guess what? You can have the best of intentions while designing something, but once you hand it over to the public, it does not take them long to use it in the worst way possible if they want. The portal was supposed to bring people closer, make them feel connected. Imagine those who happen to be in long-distance relationships and lived in the two cities. Instead, people have been using these platforms, these portals, to spread hate. Some from Dublin flashed Nazi symbols at New Yorkers. One showed a photo of the Twin Towers in flames, mocking the 9/11 terror attacks. Can you believe that? Others have gone too far and have been flashing their body parts to the people on the other side. Why? What explains this? One of them was an OnlyFans model. Her name is Eva Louise. She lifted her tank top and flashed herself from the American side. And now she's claiming that she is the reason organizers have pulled the plug on the portals. Despite 24/7 security, the people managed to create trouble. The team behind the sculptures is now looking at other options. The Dublin City Council hoped to have a solution in place on Tuesday, but it said the preferred solution, which involved a blurring, was not satisfactory. But again, what explains this behavior? Why do people do this? And it's not the first time something like that is happening, by the way. This year alone, multiple tourist hotspots have closed their doors to visitors purely because of the nuisance that they create. Amsterdam is also sick of tourists, particularly those who just come to party. To deter nuisance tourists, the authorities have released an online quiz. It's called Amsterdam Rules. It asks for the reasons why people wish to visit the Dutch capital. If the answer is for a stag party, a pub crawl, or to smoke marijuana in public, then unfortunately it's no longer allowed. The quiz is just one in a long series of experiments in Amsterdam. It's been trying to reduce the disruption caused by the hordes of tourists who simply come to party wildly. This, by the way, has included both advertisements directed at potential tourists and concrete policy measures within the city. Unfortunately, none of the strategies have led to a real solution. Just last month, the officials decided to block a famous selfie point near Mount Fuji. They have decided to erect a huge barrier at the spot just to get rid of badly behaved foreign tourists. While Mount Fuji can be photographed from many spots in the resort town, this viewpoint is particularly popular because the majestic and active volcano appears behind a Lawson convenience store. Too bad visitors will not be able to click pictures here anymore. Some misbehave, but all will suffer. Before this, Japanese officials also banned visitors from small private alleys in Kyoto's geisha district. The tourists had been misbehaving with geisha. The visitors would follow geisha, click their pictures without consent, touch their hair accessories, pull at their clothes. Of course, there were going to be consequences. Earlier in the year, Miami Beach released a PSA breaking up with spring breakers. The 1-minute video was framed like a breakup. It referred to spring break not as the iconic party fest it's become famous as, but rather as a dreaded yearly occurrence that creates menace for the Miami Beach locals, law enforcement, businesses, property. We understand traveling is all the rage, especially after the pandemic. More and more people are booking vacations, visiting popular destinations. But it's like they've forgotten how to be civil, how to behave in public. So for all those who have trips coming up, whether to a foreign destination or to a popular spot in your own city, please behave like a responsible citizen and a decent human being. That's the least you can do.